Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our Legal Matters, Kanuni Mashre. मैं आपका host IMRAN RIZVI, solicitor. And as usual, we'll be talking about litigation, immigration and representation. अगर आपके पास कोई question हो regarding any of these issues, then please don't feel hesitant to call us. Last week, बहुत सारी कॉलें आई थी जहाँ पे हमने आपके नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस लिए थे. आपने ईमेल भी हमें कोशिश करी भेजने की. आपसे यही रिक्वेस्ट होगी that keep it to the point पे रखेंगे. We'll be able to give many questions, answers, and that's what we're going to be trying to do. Again, viewers उनसे ये होगा request that please अपने television की आवाज़ पीछे at the background से कम रखें so that we can understand you और आप भी हमारा question को जवाब को समझ सके. And as usual, हमारी टीम जो होगी यहाँ शाहिद साहब हमारे साथ होंगे. He will be joining me as usual and the expertise in litigation, immigration matters. So I want to welcome Shahid Mansoor sahab. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And obviously because of time constraint, I'm going to just talk हमें जो issues जो हम discuss करेंगे. Views को ये बताना होगा the new immigration rules and obviously litigation के other aspects of law we cover as well.
Sure.
So आपके questions discussion से पहले एक दो मैं views को बताता चलूँ तो आप ज़रूर ये mind में रखें that we're not only just talking about immigration, we do family law, commercial, leases, debt recovery, employment and any matter regarding law हम आपको उसमें expert advice देंगे. कोशिश ये होगी तो आपको the best of the best advice दी जाए. So I want to begin with talking about landlord and tenants issue.
जी.
So Shahid Sahab, obviously it's a big issue. This is a different issue within regarding landlord and tenants. It's been कानून आ चुका है. Rules are made absolutely clear. Bond scheme, deposit scheme, the rights and eviction. It has to be followed by a prescribed legal
Procedure.
Procedure.
Standard.
तो आप ये बताएं अगर for example अगर we have somebody जैसे हमारे पास last week एक दो बंदों ने हमसे बात पूछी थी. We never got a chance to get back to him on a call. तो अगर arrears में चले जाते हैं and it's more than about 7 to 8 weeks into arrears, how and what we're going to be helping? इसमें जो section 8 होता है section 21 आप थोड़ा सा पहले ही बताएं rules regarding that.
I mean rules ये हैं कि अगर आपका tenant already arrears में है तो आप उनको जो है section 8 notice serve कर सकते हैं जिसमें आप tenant को 2 weeks का time देते हैं या तो to bring their rent arrears up to date or otherwise to vacate the property. You know?
ठीक है मगर शायद obviously ये अपने व्यूज़ को बताना चाहते हैं that there are a number of factors जहाँ उनकी भी obligations होती हैं whereby जैसे we do have tenants जब property को damage कर जाते हैं and landlords always dispute that this was not in the condition I gave you and they have an inventory. Sometimes they don't have an inventory. थोड़ा सा explain करें जहाँ पे tenancies में inventory होती है और जिसमें नहीं होती है.
Tenancy में inventory हो या ना हो the fact of the matter is that tenant is still responsible for paying the rent. Okay, it's clearly written in all standard tenancy or lease agreements that you cannot withhold the rent under any condition. Okay, normally tenants क्या करते हैं कि वो कहते हैं कि जी घर में डैम्प आ गया है, आप डैम्प ठीक कराएंगे तो मैं आपको पैसे दूंगा, या मेरा शावर ख़राब हो गया या मेरा कुछ you know, could be any number of various things, you know, and they use that state of disrepair of the house as an excuse for not paying the rent, which is obviously they are in clear breach of their tenancy agreement.
Again, अब basically हम अपने views को बताना चाहते हैं where we have got landlords, so we can help both sides. अगर tenant का भी dispute we can look into that. So अगर कोई situation ऐसी आती है some tenant we can help him. So what about for example शायद साहब एक मिनट हम अपने views को अपना email देते हैं, हमारा ज़रूर screen पे email address आ रहा होगा तो आप please उसे note कर लें and so to make a note of it. और जो अगर आप चाहते हैं कोई confidential बात करना so आप control room से हमारे details ले सकते हैं and telephone numbers इंशाल्लाह हम आपको वो प्राइवेट कंसल्टेशन भी देंगे. सो आपसे शायद जो क्वेश्चन यही था regarding the section 8 अब 7-8 weeks goes in a race.
I mean section 8 is very precise, you know. I mean if it's 7 or 8 you can't serve it. If it's 7 you have to make sure that the tenant is clearly in 8 weeks or 2 months in arrears. So if it's only 7 then it will be too early to serve. So you know the point where section 8 kicks in is after 8 weeks of clear rent arrears.
So that's just basically अगर आप अपने possession लेना चाहते हैं and you just wanted to bring that notice to the court, then you will be taking that kind of procedure.
That's right.
ठीक है. What obviously section 21 Again, इसमें raise भी आपकी आ रही है, इसमें possession of the property as well.
Yeah, you can still you're still claiming for the possession of your property.
True.
Section 21 is slightly different in the sense that a longer period of notice is required, whereas in Section 8 you only need to give the tenant clear 14 days of notice. In Section 21 you need to give clear 2 months notice. Okay, and obviously there are certain technicalities involved on when the notice was served and when you are requesting for the tenant to move out. So there's some technicalities involved in terms of when you seek the possession of the property.
चलो मैं अभी आपसे डिस्कस करूंगा, मगर व्यूज़ को बताता चलता हूँ. तो आपको ये अभी हम tenants, landlords, tenants की issues को discuss कर रहे हैं. If you have anything like this, questions regarding it, more than happy to take your calls. आपको पता है immigration के भी matters, we'll be happy to deal with that. और obviously हम immigration का discuss करेंगे भी थोड़ा सा और program में जब चलेंगे, तो आप हमारे साथ दें, keep watching the program. Section 21, जो शायद था, obviously we just talked about it. मगर what about ये जो bond scheme came into as of law 6 of 2007.
That's
now
right.
again, landlords pay deposit ले लेते and they used to keep it and bank it. No longer they can do that.
Yeah, I mean prior to 2007, the situation was that the landlords used to always take the deposit, but they never used to return the deposit. They used to come up with any kind of excuse to say, look, you've broken this, you've damaged that, and you ain't gonna get your deposit back.
ठीक है, शायद सब कॉल आ रही है, उसे शामिल करते हैं, फिर आपके पास आएंगे. हेलो, कौन कहाँ से?
मिस्टर खान बोल रहा हूँ लंदन से.
जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम मिस्टर खान, welcome to the program.
जी मैंने
जी welcome to the program.
जी मैं उन लाइव बात करना चाहता हूँ.
जी आप लाइव हैं?
मकान हो
जी बोलें.
रेंट पे, और काउंसिल तो जो है 4 वीक बाद डालती है किराया, और लैंड अगर कहे कि नहीं तुम लेट दे रहे हो तो वो हमें निकाल सकते हैं या नहीं?
अच्छा, ओके.
क्योंकि लगातार हर 4 वीक बाद काउंसिल देती है किराया.
अच्छा, आप किराएदार हैं और आपको रेंट?
किराएदार हैं, काउंसिल नहीं डाल रहे, लेकिन प्राइवेट हाउस है.
ठीक है, तो आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है? आप ये मुझे बताएं, आपका इशू क्या है? किराया आ रहा है आपको 4 वीक्स पे और आप लैंडलॉर्ड आपसे मांग रहा है वीकली बेसिस?
जो वीकली बेसिस पे कर पूछता है ना, लेकिन काउंसिल उसको एवरी आफ्टर 4 वीक उसको पे कर रही है.
ठीक है,
कभी 6 वीक कर देती है. काउंसिल को हमने बोला है, लेकिन वो कहते हैं नहीं, उनको पता है हमारा जो रूल है उस तरीके से हम पे करें, उनको कुछ भी नहीं कहना चाहिए तुमको.
ओके, ठीक है खान साहब.
और दूसरा, हमने जब दिया है, जो हमको दिया गया था उसको रिटर्न लिखा था कि ये मकान हम खरीद सकते हैं जब चाहें और सारी उम्र इसमें रह सकते हैं. तो अब हम खरीदना चाहते हैं, तो लेकिन उन्होंने एक्सक्यूज बनाया है कि आपका किराया लेट आता है. अगर किराया लेट ना आए तो फिर आप 6 माह जो है कंटिन्यूस लेट ना आए, टाइम पे मिले तो फिर खरीद सकते हो.
जी,
तो प्लीज इसका मुझे कुछ बताएं कि कैसे हो सकता है.
खान साहब, आप अभी कॉल रखने से पहले ये बता दें, आपकी प्रॉपर्टी एसोसिएशन की या काउंसिल की है?
ये प्राइवेट एसोसिएशन है.
प्राइवेट एसोसिएशन है, राइट. इससे काफ़ी फ़र्क पड़ता है, आपको जो जवाब मिलेगा इस वजह से मैं पूछ रहा था. ओके, और आपका कोई क्वेश्चन है?
बस यही है.
ठीक है, अच्छा प्रोग्राम वॉच करें खान साहब, आपको जवाब मिलेगा प्रोग्राम में इंशाल्लाह. या ऑब्वियसली Shahid Saab, we do have this is a very important issue. ये landlord tenant issue and housing associations and council का जो है local government जो थी, इसका जो bond scheme है ये जो अभी आपने mention कर रहे थे और आपने mention कर रहे थे 2007 6 of April जो कानून आया था rules. This is very important because the landlords normally take the deposit and bank it
or utilize it, and
which they're not allowed to do.
Yeah, not anymore. Well, not after 2007. They are not allowed. Obviously, there was some confusion when the rules came into force. Initially, like how much time did you have to actually deposit that deposit in a government approved scheme? I mean, initially it was 14 days, but obviously there was some case law on it. So some landlords had to go to court, and then basically the law judges decided that the rules as they are at the moment, the landlord they have 30 days time period to actually deposit that money.
Of course, 30 days to bank that money into the special account.
Yeah, once you've actually started the tenancy, from the date when the tenancy starts you have clear 30 days to actually bank that money with a government approved deposit scheme.
Okay. What about did you hold in deposit jo I mean it's basically
normally when you are searching for a house, you will go and look at number of houses. The landlord or the letting agent will try to bound you to actually accept that house, and they'll say that, look, if you don't put any money down now, you will probably lose the house. So if you want to secure that house, then you are quite within your rights, or the letting agent is quite within their rights to ask you for some kind of token money to actually show that you have the intention of taking up the tenancy for that property. Now, what happens that if you do actually take the house, so if you put down £100, for example, to secure a house, and you never actually move into the house, then you obviously have lost any claim on the £100.
Sure. So basically ये बंदे ने किसी ने property देखी पसंद आ गई, goes to the private landlord, उसके I'm going to put £100 down, उसके बाद अगर if they take that property, obviously that needs to go in the bond scheme.
Absolutely, yeah.
और अगर नहीं लेते lose that, forfeit.
Then you forfeited that.
तो हम व्यूज़र को ये बता ये हमारा information ये अगर आप इस similar situation में हों, then आप हमसे contact करें और इंशाल्लाह हम आपको इसमें good information देंगे, आपकी जो rights हैं वो भी बताएंगे और आपको ये भी बताएंगे landlord की क्या rights हैं. एक और call आ रही है, इसे शामिल करते हैं. कौन कहाँ से?
Hello.
जी हेलो, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, वेलकम टू द प्रोग्राम. जी बाजी, आप बात करें. क्वेश्चन
जी, मुझे ना अपना क्वेश्चन पूछना था, ये एक तो जेआर के बारे में कि ये इसको कितना टाइम लगता है जुडिशियल रिव्यू को जब आप करते हैं, और जो ये 7 साल बच्चों के बिहार जो है सम एप्लीकेशन रिफ्यूज हो रही है और सम को वो 2.5 साल की लीव दे रहे हैं, तो ये डिफरेंस क्यों है? क्योंकि हमारा रिफ्यूज हुआ है, किसी दूसरा है तो उसको मिला है, तो ये हम इसका क्या करें?
ठीक है. और आपने डिमेंशन अबाउट जुडिशियल रिव्यू, आपने क्या जुडिशियल रिव्यू डाल दिया जेआर?
जी,
आपने जेआर कर चुकी हैं?
जी जेआर किया 11 जनवरी को, तो उसको कितना टाइम लगता है?
11 जनवरी को. ठीक है, ओके. आप अपना नाम बताती जाएंगी? आप अपना नाम बताएंगी? सॉरी, लुबना. थैंक यू. इंशाल्लाह आप प्रोग्राम वॉच करें, आपको जवाब मिलेगा इंशाल्लाह. We'll answer that and the 7-year-old children regarding. Yeah, Shaheen Saab, we're talking about the landlords and tenants issues. Obviously, we're going to talk about immigration, जो नए कानून हैं, नए rules जो April से आए हैं. We'll talk about that. So basically, जो third party होती है, like parents, like uncles, what about them? उनका जो होता है deposit में?
I mean, the rules are very clear. Basically, even if it's a third party and they hand over the money as a deposit for a specific house where one of their siblings or relatives will be occupying the property, then even that money needs to be actually protected and deposited in a deposit scheme. And then once the landlord or the letting agent has deposited that money, then they are under duty to actually inform the tenant in which deposit scheme the money is held, under which name, and obviously how they can get their money back.
That's what you mentioned about third party. What about जब ये program, जब ये tenancy खत्म हो जाती है, tenant ने choose करा I'm leaving now. So obviously there's a disagreement takes place that
that's right.
I'm sorry, you damaged my property. I'm not paying.
So basically, once you take up a tenancy for a house, you give obviously undertaking in the sense that you are bound by all the terms and conditions of the tenancy agreement. So the tenancy would expect you to keep the house in good state of repair. So if while you're staying there and you've caused damage, whether it's accidental or on purpose, to any of the landlord's furnishing, furniture, then obviously the landlord is entitled to deduct that money to obviously make good repair to the furniture or have to replace his old furniture with new. So in that case, you will lose your claim on the deposit. Okay, and similarly, when you're leaving, if you've got unpaid council tax, utility bills, gas, electric, water, then again the landlord will object in handing over the deposit, and he will say he or she would insist that you should give clear accounts of all the utilities and only then ask for your deposit to be paid. Once you've come to a settlement with your landlord, the landlord is under duty to forward your deposit within 10 days of you leaving the premises or the property.
चलें आपसे ये बात ये तो बहुत comprehensively हमने लोगों को बता दिया landlord tenants section 8 section 21. What about there are a number of times जब बंदा होता है he takes the property and for some reason वो property के लेके few months के बाद भाग जाते हैं सामान भी ले जाते हैं और जो चीज़ होती है नुकसान करके चले जाते हैं. Those are the classic problems people do face with जब references proper source नहीं हुई. So इसका बताएं legal point of view से मैं बात कर रहा हूँ.
I mean legal point is that if somebody absconds, they do a runner, if I can phrase it that way, then they still have a valid tenancy. The fact they are not there doesn't mean that the tenancy has come to an end. So how do you deal with it in a practical way? Now what you would normally do is you will write a notice on the property, or if they are renting one of the rooms in a shared house, you would just put a notice on their door to say that it has come to my attention that you might have vacated the property. I'm concerned about your health and well-being. Please get in touch with me. If you don't contact me within the 14 days, then I would assume that you have willfully terminated the tenancy. So then it gives you some kind of legal protection if the tenant were to turn around and say that you have unlawfully evicted them. You can say, look, you know, I did leave several text messages or voicemail messages on your phone. I never got any reply or response from you. I did leave a written notice for your attention. I didn't get any response to that either. So then you are basically protecting yourself. You know, if tenant were to turn around and say, look, you know, I'm unlawfully evicted.
Sure. And obviously then we can look at the landlord's way how they can protect their property and their income. अगर आपका कोई इस तरह की situation आप feel करते हैं आप इसमें हैं, then please pick the phone up and we'll be more than happy to advise you and help you. और equally आपको ये भी बताते चलें जब आपके कोई tenant इस तरह से चले जाते हैं abscond हो जाते हैं जैसे अभी शायद साहब ने mention करा था, इसमें भी हम आपको काफ़ी help कर सकते हैं बताने की there is a different way to deal with it within the law, within the legal framework, and we'll be more than happy to discuss that. So Shahid, obviously this is on a landlord-tenant issue. Now coming to the immigration side of it, is a link on immigration say. Now the rules which come in place and which is now being considered is that the government, the UKBA Border Agency and the Home Office is expecting our landlords to do some checks. And that's very important on each landlord now.
Yeah, I mean, under the new rules, the landlords are under legal duty and responsibility to make sure that the tenants who will be occupying their properties have a legal right to stay in UK. So they would be asked to carry out some basic ID verification checks to see if they've got a passport and it has got a legal visa stamp in it, so it says that they are entitled to stay here. Are they students? Just check how long is their student visa. So basic checks, nothing complicated, but there is a duty imposed upon them now to carry out those checks.
What in the circumstances where people don't comply with this and into that rules, and obviously they're going to be breaching them?
If you are in an unfortunate situation where you have got a tenant and then you realize that this person has any legal grounds to stay in UK, then you can actually report them to the UK Border Agency or the police. And if you do that, then obviously there will be no consequences for you. But if you are caught doing that, then obviously the government has imposed different penalties depending on the severity of the law breaking.
शायद सब कॉल आ रही है उसे शामिल करते फिर आएंगे आपके पास. जी, hello. Call drop हो गई, ठीक है, no problem. So ये जो अभी बता रहे थे, obviously the importance of the legal position.
That's right.
That's very important.
Yeah.
And इसमें तो एक पाबंदी बन गई, and I feel that is the duty of the becomes Home Office, UKB Border Agency people.
Yes, yeah.
It's totally unjustified. That is.
Yeah, I mean it is a big burden placed on the shoulders of landlords. because obviously the landlords are not immigration officers,
Yeah.
but this is what the government stance is now. They expect landlords to be good citizens. They want landlords to actually identify and spot any illegal immigrants and bring them to the attention of the authorities.
But isn't that the job of the UKB Border Agency to do in the first place?
Granted,
Of course they have to be doing it. It's a bit, little unfair. Landlords are already burdened and then they have to carry out them.
Well, I mean, they might do a U-turn because, I mean, the government is known to do many U-turns on their policies. They were going to place similar obligations on nurses and doctors, but obviously the government did a U-turn on that, so doctors and nurses are not required to actually verify people's passports and IDs. So, but as far
which was a big thing.
So with the landlords as well, although we are saying it has become a law, in reality the government is going to run pilot scheme in certain areas, and they're going to evaluate how it is working in practice. So if the response is good, then it will be obviously rolled out across the country. Or if they think that, well, there are some niggles, technical problems, then maybe they will make a U-turn on it as well.
So obviously then these things are going to happen. It's landlords and everybody in that position, they have to be very careful in that situation. आप अगर व्यूज़ अगर देख रहे होंगे program, if you feel that you're in similar to this category, अगर आप चाहते हैं कोई legal advice लेना, तो I'm more than happy to help you, and inshallah we're here to take on your questions and participate. It's an interactive program, तो आपसे ये होगा, आपसे discussion में रहेंगे. ठीक है शायद, obviously we've been talking about these landlord tenants. एक कॉल आ रही है, शामिल करते फिर आपके पास आ गए.
हेलो
जी, हेलो, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, वेलकम टू द प्रोग्राम. जी आप वेलकम टू द प्रोग्राम. आपकी आवाज़ आ रही है, आप अपना नाम बताएंगे?
जी, मोहम्मद अमीर हुसैन.
मोहम्मद अमीर, ठीक है, आप अपना क्वेश्चन बताएंगे?
ये जो प्रोग्राम आपका है, ये इसी टाइम आता है या टाइम बदली होता है इसका?
नो, इसी टाइम आता है हमारा प्रोग्राम. हमारा एवरी वीक 6 बजे आता है ट्यूसडे को, और फिर रिपीट होता है द नेक्स्ट डे सुबह में.
अच्छा, सुबह में किस टाइम आता है?
आप सुबह में, आई थिंक इन द मॉर्निंग 7-8 o'clock इन द मॉर्निंग आता है. इट्स अ मॉर्निंग. आपका ठीक है,
सऊदी अरब से बोल रहे हैं.
अच्छा, ओह थैंक यू. आपका सऊदी अरेबिया से आपको बहुत वेलकम एंड फॉर द व्यूज इन सऊदी अरेबिया. आप हिदायत देख रहे हैं, इट्स अ वेरी गुड.
देख रहा हूँ.
वी वेलकम यू. अच्छा, आपके कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो अगर आप आना चाहते हैं या अगर आपका कोई बिजनेस रिलेटेड मैटर है, हम उसको भी डिस्कस करने के बैठे, यू फील फ्री टू आस्क अस अ क्वेश्चन.
थैंक यू जी, अगर होगा तो मैं आपको
जी
कंफर्म करूंगा.
ठीक है, थैंक यू वेरी मच मोहम्मद साहब. ठीक है शाहिद साहब, अगेन ये देख लें हमारे डाइवर्स कॉल्स आती हैं फ्रॉम वेरियस पीपल फ्रॉम अराउंड द ग्लोब, सऊदी अरेबिया. तो अगेन वी गोना, ये अभी आऊँगा, मैं डिस्कस ये करूँगा एंटरप्रेन्योरल डिस्कशन ऑन द वीज़ास. बट बिफोर दैट, ये बिग इशू वाज आल्सो that they did it only stop there, like students have to now come into the immigration side of it, that they have to contribute to the NHS.
That's right. There is a talk of if you are an overseas student or on a work permit and you're staying here, then the government wants to you to make a contribution towards NHS, because they think that obviously the people are taking too much out of the system and not contributing enough. So that is the government stance on NHS.
कॉल आ रही से ले लेते हैं, ब्रेक से जाने से पहले कॉल आ रही से शामिल करते हैं. हेलो,
अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम सलाम. आप कौन कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
जी, अमजद बोल रहा हूँ लंदन से.
जी अमजद साहब, क्वेश्चन बताएं.
जी, क्वेश्चन है कि एक मेरा दोस्त है, वो दुबई में रहते हैं, तो उनका बिजनेस है उधर, मगर वो इधर आना चाहते हैं, तो वो मुझसे पूछ रहे थे कि क्या कोई प्रोसीजर है बिजनेस वीज़े का.
ठीक है.
तो उनकी उधर वैसे ग्रुप ऑफ कंपनीज हैं, अबाउट 10 मिलियन पाउंड ईयर का वो बिजनेस करते हैं उधर.
ठीक है.
तो उसके लिए अगर आप कुछ रहनुमाई कर दें.
अमजद साहब, आप प्रोग्राम वॉच करें, आपको इसी प्रोग्राम में इंशाल्लाह जवाब मिलेगा. थैंक यू फॉर योर कॉल. अब हम व्यूज़ से क्या हम अपने ब्रेक की तरफ जा रहे हैं. सो इंशाल्लाह कीप वाचिंग हिदायत, कीप वाचिंग लीगल मैटर्स. अगर आपके पास कोई क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग लिटिगेशन, इमिग्रेशन और रिप्रेजेंटेशन, देन प्लीज़ ब्रेक के बाद फिर मिलते हैं और इंशाल्लाह we'll see you in a few minutes.